Thank you for joining me. I hope everyone's doing well today. Excuse me. I was up late and was thinking about something. And so I thought I'd come on, say hi for a few minutes, and to also do a reading with y'all because I just feel like there's just so much going on out in the world. And it just seems like we are losing our minds. At least some of us seem to be losing not just our minds, but even just not even being appreciative of the people we have in our life or what we do have. And it's one of those things, beautiful people. If you've been to my channel in the past and have watched me, you've heard me say this, but for the people who are new here, I always tell y'all, to manifest, if there's something you want, you got to have gratitude, okay? Genuine gratitude, and really feel it in your soul. And that means even if your world isn't ideal, it isn't perfect, you don't have everything you want, but you're thankful for what you do have instead of focusing so much on what you don't have. That's what gratitude is. And gratitude will bring you more blessings. That's the way the universe, rewards us to show us that, to keep, us going. It's like that extra little nudge to say, you're doing a great job, keep going. Instead of holding ourselves back sometimes, which happens because instead of focusing again on the positive, we're so much focused on the negative, what we don't have or what someone else isn't doing and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And for those who are new here, you wouldn't know this. But what I'm going to share with you is both my parents died in the month of November, both my birth parents. I was also lucky enough to have a second father, but he unfortunately, also passed, but he died in June. But my mom and my daddy both died November. One of them died on Thanksgiving Day, in fact. Turned my whole world upside down. Took a lot for me to find myself again. To not allow my grief to hold me back. Was it difficult? Was it hard? Of course. Always has been. Still is, even for me now. And yeah, I still have my days, even though it'll be going on 25 years, Thanksgiving Day, that my mom has been gone. Sometimes I still have my moments, feels like it was yesterday. And that pain is there. Same thing with my father. Y'all hear me talk about my mom a lot, but, I feel like I need to talk about my birth father more this time. He died November 2nd when I was 25. And, it came to me as a complete shock out of left field. Wasn't expected. Why? Because I lived 3,000 miles away from him. And though we didn't talk often, we talked enough to where I thought he was doing fine. Everything was good. But, apparently my father wasn't doing as well as he wanted to make everyone else believe. And he was a military veteran. There's a great history of my family because I'm part Japanese. And that comes from my father. And my father was born in the concentration camp during World War II after Pearl Harbor was hit. The United States imprisoned people of Japanese ancestry into a camp just purely for their race, no other reason, okay? And unfortunately, it was my grandparents who were put there, and my father was born there. So my father's name and my grandparents' name are in the history books, and I can't even fathom what my grandparents went through during those difficult times. And despite going through all that, my father graduated from high school and he enlisted into the military, served the country, did it proudly. Of course, I didn't know that then. I had no idea my father was a former military army soldier. That came to a shock to me after I found out when he passed away. And, I felt like I failed him. I genuinely feel like I failed him because what I also didn't know is my father was homeless and he had a job. He was a realtor, but I didn't know he was sleeping in his office because times had gotten so tough. And so he would, work, and I believe his boss was aware he was using his office to lay his head at, and they found him when they came to the office in the morning and saw him unconscious in his sleeping bag laid out on the floor. He ended up having a massive stroke. And unfortunately, he was unconscious and, I rushed out there, got on a plane, from Georgia, flew home to California to be by his side, and he never awakened from that coma. I never got to, say another word to my father, even though I was there and I know he knew I was there, but it wasn't the same right. And I bring this up, beautiful people, because, you know, again, we talk about gratitude, you know, and, depending on what part of the world you live in. I'm in the U.S. Thanksgiving's around the corner for us here. And, you know, it took me so many years to even come to some sort of peace and acceptance with both my parents' death. And so it was 2016 or 2017. I was scheduled to go underneath the knife, have an 8.5 hour operation, 12 days before Christmas to be exact. And because I was not sure how I would feel, I went ahead and bought all my Christmas gifts, had them wrapped, had everything situated for Thanksgiving too. And so I remember being home and, just going over some things, cleaning house and all that. And I was listening to the radio station, and the local radio station was announcing they were having an event called Stuff the Truck for the Thanksgiving holiday season. And it was to help families in need, the people who wouldn't have food and, all that. So, and I felt like I had, not even considered anyone else in that moment up to that point, because unfortunately for me, the surgery I was having wasn't covered by my insurance. So I had to take out a loan in order to have it done. And it was medically necessary. It wasn't cosmetic. It was a medically necessary surgery I had to have. Imagine that. Having insurance and it won't cover what I need to keep me healthy. So I sat there. I felt disappointed, in myself, really, because I'm so used to giving of myself to people, whether it's people, my family, my friends, even strangers. But at that time, I didn't, really think of anything else because I think my whole focus was trying to get ready for the upcoming holiday season. Also, make sure I'm okay to go through that surgery because I ended up losing over 20 pounds through it, which I was not expecting to happen either, but it did. Anyways, so when I heard the radio station announce the event, I felt the deep calling to help. And, and I sat there again, I felt disappointed in myself. But then, because I sat there, it's like, I've already taken the money out for my family, to get them their Christmas gifts and then for my operation. And I didn't have anything left. And so I sat there, disappointed in myself, sitting in my bed. And I had remembered all the jewelry pieces my parents had gifted me since I was a little girl. That was just sitting in my jewelry box in my closet. Hadn't been touched in years. More or less, you could say it was collecting dust in essence. And because I don't have kids of my own, it wasn't like I was holding on to it to pass down to one of my children. So I decided it was like God, divine, answering me. Even maybe my parents in their own way, saying, you have all these jewelry pieces we left you, that we gifted you, you're not wearing. Make use of it. So I did. Without hesitation, I went into my closet, pulled out my jewelry box, took every single piece that was in that jewelry box. Fine jewelry, 14 karat gold, diamonds, both, okay? And packed it and went up to my personal jeweler and I sold it to him. And, you know, I think my personal jeweler was taken back. You know, they weren't sure what was going on. I just said, listen, you know y'all know I lost my mother very young. I said, and I don't know if y'all remember, I lost her Thanksgiving Day of 2000. And I said, so I have, you know, I feel this calling. I need to sell this, you know, to y'all. Why? Because what y'all may not know is that my family suffered greatly when I was growing up because of my mother being sick so young. We didn't have money, you know, and there were times we even went without food. And, you know, to look to the government for help, yeah. Unfortunately, my stepfather made just enough over the line to not get any assistance, you know. So we were, you know, reliant on ourselves to where I had to withdraw from school and to go to work and, you know, help my parents, you know, bring in as much money as I could to help cover the expenses and make sure my mother's medications and such were covered. And so I said, so I understand what it's like to not have everything, you know, to not even have the basics like food. And I said, so I told him about, you know, the event. And he was more than willing to help me, you know. And I believe I got about close to $2,000, I believe, is what all my family heirlooms, you can call them, I gave up to get that money. Why? So I could go and help people in need. I felt that deep calling. I didn't have to do that. I wanted to do that. And I felt like God was asking me to do that, to sacrifice something that matters to me, that was important to me, something I can't put a price on anymore because both my parents are gone. But I still did it willingly, right? And I did, you know, so I went to the grocery store, bought everything on that list, 21 turkeys total with all the sides. So 21 full meals to provide to 21 families who didn't have it, you know, who were probably struggling. You know, maybe they were getting assistance, you know, or whatever. So, and I felt good about doing that. And, you know, and I made it a tradition after that to celebrate my mother's memory, but even my father, you know, who served in the military, you know, and I did keep some of the money and gave it to a veterans nonprofit to help military veterans too. And I, you know, I could tell the appreciation for what I'd done. I didn't do it for to receive appreciation from anyone else, but at the minimum, you know, when I arrived at the event and did what I did, there was great gratitude in it. You know, so I didn't feel like what I did, what I sacrificed, didn't go, you know, unappreciative, you know, by me. And, you know, so recently I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and, you know, because it's that time of year again, and Veterans Day was the 11th of this month. Obviously, I remember my father that day and all other veterans and even people who are still in the military serving. And I have this necklace that was not in my jewelry box, you know, the last piece. And this was a gift from my father that, for whatever reason, was not in my jewelry box. And I said to my friend, you know, I want to, you know, do something this year, even though I really don't have it to help people again this year. You know, aside from going down to the pool hall and competing in a pool tournament and a charity tournament, maybe I'll win, maybe I don't. But even what my tournament fee would be, it would still go towards this, or go towards, you know, Toys for Tots for Christmas for, you know, the young children and such, you know. I said, but you know, there's this pull in me tell me not to. And I don't understand it. You know, because I guess now I'm looking at it like, what would my father ask me to do? You know, because the sad fact of it is too is I still need my car fixed. My car's been sitting since March. I don't have a vehicle, and I really need that vehicle, even to even go down to the charity tournament to play, because it's 2.5 hours from here. Actually, close to a 3-hour drive now from where I'm at. And so I'm in this conundrum now. What do I do? Should I? Should I sell this necklace and get the money to give to people, to help feed the ones that really, really need it? Or should I sell it to get my car fixed? Because I desperately need that. In order to get me out of the situation I'm in, I need my car. And I told him, I said, I don't know what to do. And I'm waiting for, Divine to give me that answer, you know. And it's hard, it's difficult, because when my father gave me this necklace, it was like it was the last gift I actually got from him. And it was like, I guess you could say, a pre-engagement gift. Um, and, I said, I don't know this time around that what I would sacrifice for, would it be worth it? Sadly, would it be worth it? Would people truly appreciate what I do? And the only reason why I say this, y'all, is because I have watched some videos lately, and it really, bothered me about, I don't talk about politics, but, about the people who, you know, rely on the government for benefits to feed their families and such. And all this recklessness of people going out there and talking about they're going to, rob people outside the grocery store. They're going to go in the grocery store and steal and all this. And then the ones who do, who go out of their way, which I saw someone, not in person, I saw it online. There was a video. This person in another state had put together this, food drive for people, for their community. And there was a lot of food there, I didn't know what the rules were. I've never been to one myself, so I can't say how it goes. But, they put together this wonderful food drive. And there were people who complained, weren't grateful. And I guess it was that some people were saying, well, we were only given one meat instead of, one of everything. So people were expecting one of everything. I'm just thinking to myself, like, wow, be thankful for what you were given. Because at the end of the day, that person and anyone who helped that person to put that food drive together didn't have to do any of it. Didn't have to do none of it. But did it out of the goodness of their heart. Because they care. And that seems to be something that seems to be going away today. There's not enough gratitude. Not enough appreciation. People are taken for granted instead. Their good deeds are taken for granted. Or people complain. Or both. And I kind of, and I sit there and it's like, all right, God, what do I do with this? Because, I'm trying to figure out about this. Dreaming. Gratitude. This is what life should be about. Because again, nobody has to do anything for anyone, including me. The ones that are out here working like me, we give services or a product for monetary, right? That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones who go out of their way, who would do something like what I've done in the past and consider have done other years. And even now, you know, give up something that's a family heirloom now and get the money to do one of two things: help people in need or get my car fixed. Because I have no other way of getting my car fixed, and that's the other conundrum in this, Unfortunately, as much as I wish I had the extra funds for it, I don't. And my car's been sitting too long, and I need my car. And so I still don't have that answer, beautiful people. And watching what I've watched recently is really, it makes me now look at other people who have gone out of their way, to help those who find themselves in unfortunate, circumstances and situations. Don't matter whether they caused it themselves or it was caused unexpectedly, okay? You know, the point is that people have found themselves in, those shoes and to still not appreciate it though. Because back when I gave up all the other family heirlooms I had, you know, I remember saying to the person that, I had married, um, I felt like what I was doing was a huge blessing. You know, I felt like, yeah, okay, I'm not saying providing a turkey with all the sides to make this big, huge feast for one day, which could feed you for a few days. I'm not saying that's going to take everything and fix everything in your life. But I hope just that one simple act would give you that extra motivation to not just be appreciative for what I do or what others like me do, but to want to do better for yourself. And maybe even, you know, pave it forward, you can say. And so, and I was telling them, like, I felt like because I had spent so many holidays where I didn't even have half of the food that I bought that day for, the food drive and everything, that the people who would receive it would appreciate that day, spending with the people they love, people closest to them, and make the most of that. Why? Because as much as I wish I could have my mother, my dad, my stepdad, who was my second father to me, be sitting there with me at that Thanksgiving table, they weren't. So would they appreciate it from that standpoint, or appreciate that sacrifice that even my own father did, serving this country, our great nation, this proud country that I am proud of? But then now, in recent weeks, I see people going around spitting on it left and right. And, talking about committing violence and all these different things. Like, what have we come to, people? I've been in so many situations that people would look at me crazy, like they can't believe that I'm not on drugs or on alcohol, because I refuse to go down that path. But what I'm saying is, I've been down those struggles. Yeah, many times, more times than I like to admit even. But I've been there, a choice. And I chose to not turn down that dark alley, down drugs, alcohol. I refused. Keep fighting. That's how I feel. Why? Because I was given a great name too. You know, I was raised that this great name means, which is my father's name, Nakano. Warrior spirit, or spirit of warrior. And I felt like my father served his name well. He served it justice. And all I can do is hope to do it the same. Same. But again, how much, how many people out here are going to be appreciative of that or anything else that I would do or anyone like me? Because then it's like, I can't be mad at the people out there who sit there and, second guess. They might be willing to go out there and help someone who needs the help. But then they might be in the shoes that I'm in right now, like, would it even matter? Would that person even care? Would they truly appreciate what's being given to them? I still don't know, beautiful people. But I wonder, does anybody really understand what this means? To have this, to feel this? Because there's so much, ugliness out here that I would hope something like that would bring hope to people. That's what I was hoping for, when I did that back then. Plus, to honor my parents on, that holiday that brings me sadness still to this day. This time of year always does. But I find hope in it. I find a light, a silver lining in it even, to remember that. So I'm curious. I wonder how many people would, or do feel that way. So, you know, I wonder if Spirit wants to come through now and answer this question that I have. But even for y'all, can y'all answer what this means? Gratitude is dreaming, you know, because for me, I still dream. Even in the hard state that I found myself in at times, I found so much strength in it too. I haven't lost hope, but I'm trying to understand how many of you have lost hope? Have you lost your way? Are you still trying to find that opening, you know, that place, that light? Even if it's just for one more day, it's like just, you know, be in the moment. And sometimes that's all it's about too. Trying to live for today, not tomorrow, but also not yesterday either. All you can focus on is the here and now. I've had many times. I have felt that way too. So beautiful people, you know, because I can't sleep and I still have this conundrum, still a choice. Sell my family heirloom, the last piece I have. My last gift from my father to make it matter. To matter to me and matter to others, or in a sense, save me out of a situation I don't want to be in. So, let's find out. Oh, you poor thing. What, did I just strike a nerve? Bless your heart. Let's see. Look forward to when you lose that account, buddy. So let's see. Spirit, show me. Gratitude. Go ahead. Let's see. Harassment, buddy. See, I stand up to bullies like you. Knock yourself out, buddy. Because I'm an American citizen. My father's a military veteran. Go knock yourself out. You couldn't even put two and two together. You couldn't even put two pennies together. Because if you think I'm Mexican. You obviously don't know what that on my head represents. Try again. So, Spirit, gratitude is dreaming. What is it that y'all need to manifest? But really come down to gratitude. Beautiful people. Gratitude, Spirit. Let's see. Let's find out. Show me, Spirit. Show me recent past. Surrounding gratitude is dreaming. Well, y'all are overcoming sorrow, struggles. That's 3 of Swords in reverse. Spirit, give me more. Give me more, Spirit. 3 of Swords. I feel like some of y'all have found y'all's stride. Spirit just said that. I feel like for some of y'all, it's about decluttering your life, because, and this feels like people in your life. who have taken you for granted, who don't appreciate you, even, you know, your time, your energy, resources, wisdom, all of the above. With this King of Pentacles here, I feel like this is you right here, doing all you can, overcoming all the struggles and obstacles in this recent past. This Four of Pentacles is all about uncluttering your life, which includes people. People who don't mean you well. People, again, who might be taking you for granted. And I feel like it's come down to appreciating the ones who do and being there for them. So, Spirit, give me present. Present energy, Spirit. Show me what's in the present surrounding gratitude is dreaming. Well, we have the Magician. That's the main manifester right there. So if y'all have lost y'all's way, if y'all feel like, you know, you're still looking for that light, be hopeful. Because the manifestor and the magician, that's the creator of their own life. They're taking, you know, their power back in essence. They're taking everything they have and mixing it all up to create the life that they want for themselves. And also bringing in the people they want in their lives. And that's a wonderful thing. To, again, appreciate the ones who are there and just let go of the ones who aren't. So, Spirit, give me, show me. Magician, Spirit, clarify, tell me more. Clarify, Spirit. Yeah, I feel like you're going to be seeing success in this. You know, Spirit just said good acts of service. I feel like it's going to be greatly rewarded because you've chose to make the life you want, taking it into your own hands and choosing it with this Magician and this Judgment. And then with this Nine of Pentacles coming out. But this means walking it alone. And beautiful people, Nine of Pentacles is more of that solo energy. So it doesn't necessarily mean it for all of y'all, but I feel like for many of y'all, you're going to come to realize you got to go at it alone. Even for a little while. The lone wolf, even. To find your stride. But part of it, it's all about focusing inward too. Again, instead of like going around and pointing the finger and blaming others, you're taking control and taking a look at what you can do differently instead of focusing on what others have done or haven't done and saying, okay, I got this. So, and I get it. I get it can be lonely. But, you know, it's like I've told y'all before, you know, I sleep alone. I've been sleeping alone for the past 7 years. And though I'm sleeping alone, I'm not lonely though. Why? Because I still remember I have me, you know, and sometimes being alone allows me to focus more on, you know, the things I want to achieve, but also it helps me to reflect and also be more connected to the divine, my spirituality, and the people that really do matter. So, Spirit, show me future. Around gratitude is dreaming. Show me future. Show me, Spirit. Nine of Cups. That's beautiful. Fortunately. Except for it's in the reverse. Show me more, Spirit. Yeah, this feels a little hollow. Yeah, Spirit's confirming. Even in the future right now, okay, we'll say near future. It's almost like the Nine of Cups upright is usually a card of emotional fulfillment, wishes being granted. And it's not to say that those wishes won't be granted, because I feel like they will. But again, it just means the people in your life right now, just, they're not giving you that emotional fulfillment. They're not filling you up with love, joy, happiness. So sometimes it means we got to focus on ourselves then. Because it's like a great woman told me growing up that I could not go around looking at others to make me happy. At the end of the day, I had to make myself happy. Okay? Because sometimes I was going to be alone. So the only person I had to worry about was me. Okay? And make myself happy. And as long as I can keep myself happy, anyone else that came into my life, that's extra. And that's beautiful to have that, you know. So Spirit showed me, even in the future, you know, take the lone walk for a little while, but the star comes and the star will shine again. So your hopes and your wishes will be granted. But maybe for some of y'all, it's just a time of healing, time of self-reflection. You know, to take a look at the people around you, people in your life, the ones that maybe, you know, even when it comes to our family, you know, I love family, okay? So please don't misunderstand me. I love my family more than anything. But I also understand that some of my family members are toxic. I can't have them up close in my life. I just can't, okay? Because they, you know, bring, you know, this down energy to me all the time, and I can't have that. Do I wish them well? Of course. Do I want nothing but the best for them? Of course. And I give them all my love. But I also love them from a distance instead of having them up close in my life all the time. So there's only one person in my family actually who knows what's going on with me more than any of them. The rest of my family don't even know. They don't even know I moved. Sad, but true. And it's not that I'm not letting them know. I just, a lot's happened since then. So kind of like been, you know, focused on trying to build this channel, which is my business. And, you know, I'll reach out to them when I can. So, because they also changed their number. So it's not like I can pick up the phone and say, hey, guess what? I moved. So I got to write them a letter. No, I don't have their email either. So, but that's okay. So, Spirit, is there anything else you want to share with the collective? Please and thank you. All right, Spirit, that wasn't nice. I feel like some of y'all are missing. This feels like a child. Ouch. This Page of Cups in reverse. This is a younger energy. For some of y'all, this is your child. Man. And I kind of almost want to tear up in a sense, because it's like, even Spirit saying to me, it's like, for some of y'all, this is like your child that hasn't been in contact, or, you know, might be an adult child. Doesn't have to be a young one that's living at home, but for some of y'all, it's an adult. Where even your own hopes and wishes, they didn't follow through with. Broken promises, broken dreams. Really, Spirit? Even for someone out there, I heard the word destitute. So I don't know who this is for, but whoever's energy I just got, like your child kind of just left you high and dry, and I'm sorry. So even for you, it seems like it's hard to pick up the pieces and be grateful, because you thought, you know, even, you know, your kids would come through for you, and it's like they're not there. I feel like they moved away. I feel like they moved away, like far away, not just like down the street or into the next city over, but moved far away. Wow. The Spirit's asking you to still have some faith. You know, the faith is, yeah, there it is, 6 of Wands. Maybe your child, you know, or even a sibling, you know, whoever this is, that, you know, has kind of like made you feel like they've just kind of like taken, you know, everything from you. And you have nothing or much left to give. I'm not saying it excuses it, and I'm not saying it justifies their behavior, because it never will for me. Maybe they're going through something that they could not come to you and say to you and tell you and share with you. Maybe because they didn't want to add to your burdens. Maybe because they feel like you wouldn't listen or believe them. So they've kind of left you in the dark of what's going on with them. With this Page of Cups in reverse. But Spirit's still saying have faith. There's light at the end of this tunnel. It's up to you, though, what you do with it. How, you know, how you go about it. You know, I'm not telling y'all what to do, because for each of y'all, it'll be something different. But what I would say to you is, like, I'll share a story with y'all, just to add context to this. I have 3 siblings. One lives in, you know, the same state as me. And he's the baby of the family. And he was in a relationship, and the woman did not want my brother around anyone. Very possessive, very jealous, very insecure. So they even took offense when one year I had said to my brother, it's like, you know, Daddy's birthday's around the corner. You know, we need to do something to celebrate his birthday. Yes, I know he's not here, but it's tradition for us to do. And I told my brother, I said, just me and you, just us. Nobody else, no, you know, significant other, anyone else, just us two. Well, the woman he was with at the time took offense to it, didn't like it. I mean, fought with him to not, you know, get him to stay at the house with her, because she wasn't welcome. And it wasn't because she felt hurt, like I was like turning, you know, putting up my show to her. No, it had nothing to do with that. I wanted that in, you know, that time with my brother, just me and him, because she didn't know my father, so she wouldn't understand, you know. And it's not to say that she couldn't be a part of it, but I needed my brother that day. And I think my brother also needed me too, whether he would admit that or not back then, you know, didn't matter. But all I could say is, it reached a point she even called the police to try and keep my brother at the house instead of going out with me. His sister. Of all people, why would you be jealous over a family member? I'm his blood, you know. But for her, it didn't matter. So she tried to make a fiasco of it. Tried to have my brother arrested. Told the police some lies, saying my brother was trying to break into the house that he was living in with her and such. And she was also pregnant with my nephew. And she was like newly pregnant. I think she was only like a month or 2. So, okay, you could blame it on the hormones even, but some of the other things she did before she was pregnant, we'll say differently. But, you know, it doesn't matter. But, you know, I had to say to my brother even back then, it's like, listen, you know, you got to decide. I'm not telling you to choose me over her, okay? That's not what I'm saying to you. But I also understand you're not ready to leave her either. So, to not make you feel like you got to choose, I'm going to take a step back, okay? And you do what you got to do, because she is, after all, carrying your child. And I understand that. You know, that baby is going to need you. So, me and my brother went 4 years, didn't talk, you know. And I really thought my brother forgot about me, you know, and I thought about him. It hurt me. Left me out in the cold, you know, in a sense, you know. But I still felt what I did was right for him. I was not going to be the bad person in that situation, make him choose between me and his child, really, is what I felt like it was, because though that child wasn't here yet, I knew that child would come. And, my brother also had to grow up a little bit too. Um, my brother was in his early 30s, so he still needed to grow up a little bit and figure it out. So I let it go. And what would I tell you? 4 years later, I didn't get a phone call from him, hadn't heard from him. And he showed up at my door unexpectedly, shocked me, surprised me. In fact, at first, I didn't know how to honestly feel about it, because even though I made the decision I made, I still felt a little hurt and betrayed by him, right? But that was a battle, my inner conflict I had to deal with. And so when he showed up, said hi, good to see you. But I was still very guarded. I hugged him, yes, but can I say I really acted so happy to see him? Probably not. I don't think my face said it, because, like I said, shock. 4 years goes by, I haven't heard from you. I don't even know how your child's doing. I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl, you know? So we talked, and my brother changed. He grew up a lot, and he had a boy. So I was happy to hear the baby was here, and he had grown up. And of course, I missed, the first few years of, my nephew's life. And I felt bad. But again, did I, would I have missed him if I tried to force to stay in my brother's life, which I felt like I shouldn't have to fight for because of the woman he was with? But again, that's the way she was acting. So I made that sacrifice, and my brother and I, came back together. He had left her. He finally realized he needed to walk away. You know, I told him I was sorry. I know he didn't want to break up his family, but I knew he felt that that's what had to be done for him and his son. And, we picked up where we left off. And, I, 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 I left a young boy, we'll say. That's how I'll put it. When I walked away from my brother and made the choice for us, I left a young little boy. And when he came back to me, he was a man. And I saw the difference. He had to go through those, 4.5, 5 years without me to figure it out, to find his way. You know, do I regret doing that? No, I don't. Because I really feel like if I had stayed in close contact with him, it would have only gotten worse. And that woman would have done God knows what else to my brother. And I didn't want to do that to him and make his life more hell, especially when it came to his child. I was going to come between that. So I still felt like I did the best thing I could do for him. So what I'm saying to you is, even some of the people, if you have a child, a sibling, maybe even you're the child and you have a parent, someone, maybe a close friend, that really just, you know, oh, well, I don't want anything to do with you, or, just you don't feel like you're being appreciated, quite possibly. Maybe they just need that time to grow up a little more, to really, go through maybe some hell first in order to find heaven, to find the rainbow and the sunshine at the end of it. And that's what we all need sometimes. Sometimes we have to. It's called tough love. So I was practicing tough love for my brother because our parents were already gone. So it's not like I could go to my parents and be like, Mom, Dad, my brother, your son. Couldn't do that. It was just us. So, and, I know, and, my brother would say, he was immature. He would tell you that. you know, because that's what he's told me. He had to grow up. He had to find his way. He had to realize the people who were there, who loved him, and, you know, went, you know, to hell and back for him. He came to find and start to appreciate it more. So that's all I'm saying to you. Maybe whoever you got in your life, maybe they have to go through that a while first, okay? And maybe they'll find you again when they've grown up a little more. Maybe they have to go through those struggles alone too, you know? Because sometimes in life, you can tell someone, okay, if you go down this road, it'll probably turn out this way. But you know, we all can be stubborn, right, at times and say, no, that's not going to happen to me. No, it's going to be different. And maybe for, you know, a few of y'all, maybe it is. But, you know, enough people have gone through something similar and may have found, you know, the commonalities that comes out at the end of it to say, okay, well, you take this, you know, path and this is how it's going to turn out. And we just like, no, that's not going to be us, so we don't believe them. And so we got to find out ourselves, learn the hard way. I've done that. I understand. I understand having to do that sometimes. You know, you just feel like you got to prove your parents wrong, especially me. You know, there were some of those years, even with my mother being sick, boy. You know, my mama would tell you, you know, all the gray hairs on her head was caused by me and my brother, but probably more so me, you know. But my mama knew I had to figure it out, even a young teenager, because she became terminally ill when I was 14 years old. And so I had to figure out and grow up real fast, but I did. And I found my way. And, you know, where there's days that I wanted to scream and holler, and it's like, you know, what did you do to me? Or, you know, go around and point fingers and, you know, point the blame at someone else. No, I needed to hold it for myself and hold myself accountable. And that's kind of like what I had to teach my brother. It's time to hold yourself accountable now. You're grown. Act like it. You're going to be a father. Act like it. So, again, I'm not saying that excuses anyone to mistreat you. But we all have our road in this life, right? And the people we take with us. Again, some will appreciate us and others won't. It's a hit or miss. And for me, I've seen both. But unfortunately, more so, more people don't appreciate me. I've come to notice that, and I've learned that, and it is what it is. But I'll be there for the ones who do, the ones that I know genuinely love, care, and appreciate me. That I know, you know, in worst situation will be at my back, will have my back, that I won't ever have to question. Good morning, beautiful Nancy. How you doing, sweetheart? It's been a while. So, no matter what choice you pick for yourself at the end of this, you know, the best thing I can tell y'all right now is don't lose hope. Don't lose faith, you know, in the people, you know, that you have, you know, a past with, whether that's family, friends. Even if some of y'all are still trying to figure out about an ex and like, oh, I'm waiting around, I still love him or her, okay? I'm not here to tell y'all how to live y'all's life. I'm just telling y'all what I would do and some things I wouldn't do and what I had to learn. And even in this, I still got to remember this reminder, you know, have gratitude, because gratitude is going to bring more good things and people into my life. And it's going to bring the right people to me. Not the ones that, you know, will, you know, try and, you know, get all they can and manipulate and this and that, you know. So I got hope. And, you know, in this, I got hope that my, you know, spirit guides and divine, they'll answer me about what to do with my father's gift that I still have left, you know. It is going to be a hard choice either which way I go. But I know that it's going to be what the right path needs to be for me to make sure, you know, everything's going to be all right too. Hi, Cheryl. How you doing, beautiful? Oh no, you've been sick with bronchitis. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sending you healing, love, and light. And I'll say a prayer for you, girlfriend. It's good to see you, honey. I'm not on as much as I used to be. I've had to take a step back. That energy's just been too heavy out here. The last collective reading I did knocked me down for 2 days because the energy just drained the crap out of me, which happens as a psychic empath. It will do that. So, beautiful people, I'm going to want to read to y'all both what this card means. And y'all take it, apply it how it resonates. It might resonate one way, might resonate the other way, maybe a little bit of both. But I think both are important. Thank you. Someone made this for me. They made me several different ones. So, to represent my Japanese heritage, this is my geisha. I got a few of them actually now. And I got some other ones that are just flowers and got a crystal crown and some other ones. So I like it, but it's heavy though, I gotta admit. It's heavy. The other one I have is lighter, but this one's heavy. So thank you. Okay. This is what this card means. It says, gratitude is the most powerful manifesting energy in the world. Appreciation for all life, from the shiny, happy parts to the dark challenges, creates an energy that is magnetic to miracles, to love, to purpose, to synchronicities. According to the law of praise, when we are sincerely thankful in advance of seeing evidence of our desires in the material world, this acts as a quickening agent that draws to us the best that life has to offer. Don't wait for the materialization of your desires until you cultivate an attitude of gratitude. You are surrounded by much to appreciate now, both in the visible world and in the not yet visible. Be thankful for the smallest things you do have, the tiniest wins, and let the power of gratitude infuse your every breath. You call your dreams forth through appreciating your blessings in advance. The more you praise, the more that gratitude will grow and show up in the outer world in ways you can't even imagine. You will find you have tapped an unending vein of gold. So your manifesting power is to be grateful, appreciative, to align with the energy of appreciation. If you can do that, again, you'd be amazed what the universe will gift you. And it'll happen when you least expect it, when you're not looking for it. You know? But if you focus on the negative, then this is what's going to come of the negative. It says, losses and difficulties and struggles tend to take our attention away from the good, making it hard to practice appreciation and gratitude. It's natural to revert to our negative bias as a means of self-preservation. We feel safer in our discomfort. We then try to figure out what we did wrong, look to assign blame elsewhere, and sit way too long on the proverbial pity potty. But things must be dealt with. Bills need paying, family needs taken care of, and there's no time for you, so look for a way out. This is the most important time to align with the law of praise and the power of gratitude. You're not bypassing your troubles, but choosing to be grateful anyway. To say thank you for breathing, for the smallest things, and to say thank you for the most respectful solution, for the highest good to be revealed. Don't wait until things settle down. Do all this in advance and the results you seek. And remember, this too shall pass. And this is Very true. You know, you know how people say it's like you don't realize what you have till it's gone. I think gratitude works the same way. When you take it for granted, the universe has a way of taking those things from you. Some people would say that's like the, universe coming in trying to humble you, you know. And maybe there is some truth to that. I think there's probably a little bit of truth to that. But, it's kind of almost in the sense you call it karma. You put karma out there, good or bad. And what you put out in the world comes back to you. So, again, if you're out there worrying, thinking of the things you've lost, focusing so much on that, instead of being even thankful for this very moment you're living in right now and what you do have instead of what you don't have. You never know. You complain now, tomorrow, the universe just might come in. It's like, oh, well, you're not even thankful for what you do have. No, it's not everything, but it's more than what a lot of other people have, right? So, but since you can't appreciate what you still have, we're going to take that from you too. And the universe does. I've watched it happen. Can I say has it been served to me? Of course. you know. And really, I think we're all guilty of that. It's not that we do it intentionally, but I can say when I was a child, there were those years that I sat there and I got angry at my parents and angry at the universe, for making my mother so sick, taking her from me so young. And, I remember every single time she go to that hospital, I would go into that ICU unit and talk to her and talk to God. Don't take her from me. I need more time. I'm not ready. Not ready to let her go. She needs to come home. That kind of thing, right? Well, my prayers will get answered. And all those times my mama came home. What did I do? Yeah, I can't say I fully appreciated it. I did take it for granted at times. You know, people would say to me, well, you're trying to take on adult responsibilities when you're a kid. Yeah, there is truth to that, but does that excuse my behavior to not take and make the most of the time that I still had left with her? No. I should have made the most of it. And yeah, of course, I had my days. Yeah, you can say that, felt sorry, for myself, sure. But really, I felt sorry for my brother because he's 4 years younger than me. And if I'm already feeling it, in my teens, early teens, he hadn't even hit his teenage years yet. What is it going to be like for him, and my other siblings who didn't live with us, and, and my poor dad, you know, what he was going through too, because he was going to lose his wife. And, and I didn't appreciate that for him. In the context of, I got even mad at him for the way he would act at times that I couldn't make sense of it. It's like, how dare you? We're fixing to lose our mother. But I stopped and I did not realize my father was going to lose his wife. How much more difficult that is for him, But could he, on the same token, appreciate what me and my siblings are going through, losing our mother? No. But then it was my fault to expect that of him because he still had both his parents. They were still alive, doing pretty well. So that's not his fault either. But I made it his fault. I made it his problem. And again, even the time that I was given, did I appreciate the time I had? No, not completely. But, I go back now and I think of all those times I still had, though, with her. Even though it wasn't the easiest, wasn't the best times, I thank God for them. Because it helped to mold me into the person I am today. And for me to still be the fighter that I am, just like my mama. And even my father, my, name, my last name, that matters to me. It means a lot to me. And it matters to me to know even now what my father did. despite everything, despite the struggles, you know, that he had to see in his life. But he still made it. Even my grandparents. So, love those who show you love, who show you appreciation, who give you that time, who give you the resources, whatever. Make sure, don't just say thank you, but really truly appreciate them. Because tomorrow, they may not be here, or whatever they've given to you. You may not realize just how, you know, important that is in that moment until it's not there anymore. You know, well, I think so much in the world today, it's like it's been lost because unfortunately I find it more where so many more people, it's, you know, the entitlement instead of having that appreciation, you know, and wanting to do better and be better, you know, to know that we're deserving of it, but we're capable of making that happen for ourselves too. It's not up to everyone else to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves first. So start there, and you just never know. You know, the universe just might surprise you, might give you that little bit of hope that you need to make it through today, tomorrow, next week, next month even. You know, what I do with, you know, my gift that my, you know, my father still, you know, gifted me that I still have. I wait for the divine to answer me, you know. I'm sure that answer will come in divine time, and, you know, if I'm meant to really, you know, take part of that money in, you know, gift it to help the people in need, or do I take it and get my car fixed that I've been without since March? I don't know. But I'm still waiting for, you know, that sign. And I really hope that, you know, people out there, I'm not saying it's not hard. If you're struggling, I know how hard it is. Boy, do I know. And I know how much, you know, even just a little bit of glimmer can bring. Just don't abuse it. Really be appreciative to those who are there. Even complete strangers, because it's like I learned, even all those years going now, complete strangers, those are the ones that will show up and surprise you when you least expect it. So, don't ignore them. So, my beautiful people, I just thought I'd come on here and do this and share this with y'all. Now, I'm going to end it here. So, I hope, you know, what I shared with y'all this morning gives you that opening, that insight, you know, to be thankful and appreciative of what you do have. Because for whatever reason, Spirit's making this very much top of mind right now. And again, because I guess the holiday season coming up too, which I understand that too. So, my beautiful people, I'm going to say good night. Because for me, it's good night. Because I'm a night owl. I know. I sometimes during the day I'm awake. It varies. Of course, I say I'm going to sleep, and probably about 2 hours from now, if my eyes are still open. I've had that happen too, so you never know. And all the traffic going on, all them cars going by my house. But thank you for joining me, beautiful people. I hope this message has helped y'all. I hope it's giving y'all something to think about. Food for thought. You know, something to ponder on, reflect on, whatever it is. I hope it brings you hope too in the times that it seems like hope just seems to be very small, minimal even. And it's so good to see you, Nancy, my sweet dear friend. We got to catch up soon, honey. I'll have to reach out and call you soon. So I'm sending y'all away with so much love, light, and many blessings, beautiful people. You know, if you're not subscribed to me yet, what are y'all waiting on? No, I'm kidding. If you want to subscribe to me, I would love to have you. And, you know, I have my YouTube membership there. I also have a Patreon membership too, if you're interested. Maybe I'll come on tonight. I don't know. I'm kind of letting spirit guide me when to come out. So, but we will see. All right, my beautiful people. I'm sending y'all so much love and light and many blessings. Till next time.